What's up everybody, Aaron Davis here, and welcome to the second episode of the Vlog Cabin brought to you by Caribou Lodge. Today we have a ton of stuff to get through, so we are just going to dive right in and get started. First things first, last week I sent out a tweet asking you guys to let us know any questions you have for myself, the team, Chris and Steve, whatever. We got a bunch of really good questions, so I'm just going to read off a few of the better ones that I found and give you the best answers that I possibly can. Without further ado, Hey Mitch asks, what's the best, most efficient way to remember all of the tricks that I have learned? Mitch, that's a great question. The best way that I can think of is probably to record yourself, even if it's just like an iPhone clip. Doesn't necessarily have to go anywhere. It can just be saved on your computer or on your phone. Take videos of your tricks or take pictures of interesting mounts and things like that for kind of visual representation. I know that when I go back and watch videos that I made a long time ago, a lot of times I'm like, oh my gosh, I totally forgot that I did that trick. That's really cool. And then I go figure it out again later. Yeah, just try recording yourself. That's probably the best advice I can give there. Owen Ebert asks, Aaron, what is your favorite Caribou Lodge yo-yo? Mine is the Snow Cone Kodiak. That's cool. Mine is probably, well, it's currently the Igloo, but I also really love the Blizzard and I really love the Chief. Anthodion asks, what is your basic color grades in post-editing? Also, is 60 frames per second the best option for yo-yo clips? 60 frames per second or higher is fantastic if you're shooting with slow-mo in mind. Otherwise, it adds some pretty difficult challenges to overcome to video editing. Depending on the situation, if you're shooting at 60 frames per second or higher, that can make the clip really dark. So if you don't have a lens or a device that can go to a lower aperture or boost the ISO in that case, if you're shooting manually, 60 frames per second can be really difficult. If you're looking for like a more cinematic look, you're not worried about slow-mo, 24 frames per second or 30 frames a second is great. If you have a well-lit area and you are wanting to do some slow motion in post, 60 frames per second or more is fantastic. As far as color grading go, I just try to make the string pop. It's situational, it depends on the lighting, it depends on where I am, it depends on what kind of string I'm using. I just try to make the string stand out from the background. So a little bit of bump of contrast, usually highlights or whites, bring it out as well, and then mess with your darks until you get the picture you want. DJ Mac Proto asks, Aaron, what's your favorite number and does it fit into your everyday life? If so, how? My favorite number is 4 because it was my number for soccer and basketball in high school. I don't really think it fits into my life in any way. I have 4 wheels on my car and I drive a lot. Count it? Skitty asks, if you were to be sponsored by any other yo-yo company than Caribou Lodge, what would you want to be on? That's a great question. Base Camp, Pool Party, or Heaven Sent? Mugniardi asks, Aaron, how to make good yo-yo tricks? Watch people who you think are good yo-yoers and learn from them. Learn as much as you can. Watch as much yo-yoing as you can. Absorb it all. See if you can replicate it. If you can learn the trick and then adapt it based on what you want to do with it. That's a great way to kind of like spin things off and start learning things for yourself and creating things for yourself. Basically what I did when I was making a lot more yo-yo tricks was I would get into a mount and I would spend the entire day finding every single possible transition that I could think of out of that mount, and then go with the one that I like the best, and continue that process out of each consecutive mount until I had a trick that was original and interesting to me, and it just felt really good to do, and then you practice it. And you practice and practice and practice and practice and practice and practice and practice until it's perfect, and then you film it and share it. No Soup 5U asks, Aaron, is cereal soup? No. The Real Kodos asks, Aaron, what's your camera setup? Well, that's a good question. I actually started a vlog myself, a personal one, over on my YouTube channel. In the last video I made, which is yesterday, I actually go over a bunch of stuff about camera gear that I use, show off kind of what I've been shooting on mainly. I'm shooting this on a 5D Mark III with a 16-35 f2.8L Canon lens. I've got a little Rode shotgun mic on the top, and I've got a cool tripod. For photos, I typically have been using this. This is a Canon 6D. I've got the 24-70 f2.8L lens on it. Just great stuff comes out of this guy. Brian92000 asks, Caribou Lodge Aaron, what are your top 3 favorite yo-yos and players? P.S. You and Chris are the bomb. On behalf of Chris and myself, thank you. My top 3 yo-yos currently are the Igloo, the Blizzard, and the Peak 2. As far as players go, probably Chuck, Yuki, and Tyler Vieno. That kid slays. YYF_EN.YU asks, how do I get sponsored? How do I get sponsored? Will you sponsor me? How did you get sponsored? Will you sponsor me someday? What do I have to do to get sponsored? Is Caribou Lodge sponsoring new players? Okay, we're just gonna... Let's talk. Getting sponsored for yo-yoing is not easy. It took me 2 years of only focusing on that, tutorials and going to contests and meeting people and getting my name out there and pushing everything I had on YouTube in order to just get a little bit of attention and start to get this process started. And as difficult as it was for me 3 years ago, it has only gotten more difficult because the learning curve for yo-yoing is insanely fast now. Like, kids that are 2-3 months in are already doing tricks that blow my mind, just absolutely blow my mind. And so for kids that are wondering how to get sponsored, I would say, first of all, don't ask to get sponsored. Like, don't outright just contact people and be like, sponsor me. We get messages like that every single day. It's annoying. Just don't do it. Let your tricks and your videos and your content speak for itself. Second of all, work really, really, really hard. I'm sorry, but every single player who has gotten sponsored by a yo-yo company has worked really, really, really hard at yo-yoing. And they've developed their own tricks, they've developed their own styles, they've made freestyles, they've made videos, they've made tutorials, they've done the work. And you can't just ask without really backing up what you're doing. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't just kind of be like, oh, I'm me. Doesn't work like that. You gotta actually work for it. So don't ask to be sponsored. Let your content speak for itself. Work really, really freaking hard and get really good. Lastly, network. Make friends with the people that are sponsored players. Go to contests and meet new people. I don't know, like, just be a personable person. Comment on people's stuff online. Give people feedback. Ask for feedback, but don't be annoying about it. Go on Instagram. Watch people's tricks. Learn their tricks. Repost tricks that you think are awesome that people made that you have learned, and just live it, man. The yo-yo community is awesome. You just have to dive in, and if you're really talented and you work really hard, you will get recognition for it, and then those offers will start to come. Okay? Sponsorship demystified. Anyway, moving on, we have giveaway stuff. So last week we asked you to comment below your favorite Caribou Lodge yo-yo, and you would have the opportunity to win one of the Yeti Fist t-shirts. We're giving away 3 of them. If your name is on screen now, email steve@clyw.ca with your shirt size, and he will get them out the door to you as soon as he can. As for this week, we are going to be giving away a prototype of the Kayak, the signature of Yuki Spencer, and this is one of the prototype models for that yo-yo. So if you want to win the prototype Kayak, leave us a comment below telling us what your favorite song to yo-yo to is, and we'll randomly select another winner next week to win that yo-yo. Thank you guys for tuning in. I'm sorry that it was such a fast episode. Unfortunately, we just had so much to cover that we had to just sit here and get through it all. I hope that you guys will be back with us next week. On behalf of myself and all of the rest of us at Caribou Lodge, thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next time.